Alice Sommer Herz was born in Prague on November the 26th, 1903. She became a pianist of distinction, but was imprisoned in the Theresienstadt concentration camp with her 6-year-old son. She lost both her mother and her husband in Nazi death camps, but Gigi Sommer and her son survived. At 106, she still lives alone in a small flat in London and practices the piano for 2.5 hours every day. At 104, she became famous internationally through a best-selling book about her life called A Garden of Eden in Hell, published in 7 languages, and through being the star of a prize-winning film, We Want the Light, which has won her a following in many parts of the world.
I was born in Prague in 1903. This was Bohemia, belonged to the Austro-Hungarian monarchy, which was actually 3/4 of Europe. And Czech people in Bohemia lived Czech people, German people, 1.5 million German people, and Jewish people. 3 very strong cultures. And these 3 cultures were fighting one against the others, actually. Then came the First World War, which I remember very well. We had nothing to eat, I remember it. Next to our house was a bakery, and we had to stand in this queue for hours and hours, the whole night and the whole day. And in the end, we got a little piece of bread, which was actually without any taste, and a very hard time, very hard time. I remember my father, who had a factory for balances. He was, I believe, well off. He came one day and said, "Children," we were 5 children, "Children, now we have lost," it was already the end of the war. "Now we have lost everything. I have to start from the beginning." It means people paid, out of patriotism, a lot of money for the arms and they lost it. So this I remember very well. And then, of course, a lot of friends of my parents and my brother and my sister didn't come back. So we realized what is war as little children. Then I play, my brother, the whole family my mother was very musical. Very. Not only that she played, but she was my severest critic. When I had a concert and she said, it was very well, so it gave me a security. In our house was only music. We spoke about music, we made music. My brother was an excellent guy, violinist. We made music. I remember my mother was, at 8 o'clock, my father came home very, very tired. He went to sleep at 8 o'clock, and my mother said to us, "Kinder, geht's spielen." So I sit next to the piano. I was maybe 10 years old. My brother 13, 3 years older than me. And we played sonatas, concertos. And this was my best school, I believe. I learned a lot from this. Still now I know these sonatas by heart. And my mother must have been very happy to sit next to a stove from tiles in this time. And it was so cozy. And she was sitting there, and it must have been for her really a beautiful moment when we were playing. Two of her children made beautiful music. Then came from Hamburg Konrad Ansorge, one of the last Liszt pupils, and gave master classes. He came once a month, and I remember 30 people from the whole Republic came to these master classes. I was the youngest, I was 60 years old, and retrospective, I believe he wasn't a very good teacher. He was wonderful when he sat next to the piano and played, but as a teacher, I believe he was not so. One of the reasons he was a drinker. We noticed when he came at lunchtime, he was already a little bit like indifferent or even sometimes confused. So I wanted to play always the first of all. In the morning at 9 o'clock, I was the first. But in the end, we learned a lot. We learned from the mistakes of the other people. The best school. The life of a musician is a privilege. This I am sure. Because you are from the morning till the evening, from the evening to the morning, full of the most beautiful thing coming out of mankind. It's music. And the musician is full of this beauty. What happens in the world around him is not so important. The music, he is full of beauty. It's a privilege. It's a privilege.
If I say the words German music to you,
yeah.
What does German music mean to you?
This I asked a lot of people, especially sociologists. How it's possible that in this little Europe, Middle Europe, came out these greatest geniuses like Bach, Mozart, and Beethoven. Why not in Asia? Why not in Africa? Why just in this? And in very near, in Vienna and in Salzburg and Düsseldorf. And nobody could answer me. It is a miracle, actually. Miracle. Haydn, not to forget. Genius people.
And did it ever disturb you that the music that you most loved
yeah.
was composed
by not Jewish,
Well, no, by Germans.
Yeah.
Or did you always make a distinction between Germans and Nazis?
I, for my person, don't hate, never hated. I grew up in 3 very strong cultures, and I never hated, because I am convinced, and in the Bible you can read it, we were created, the good and the bad was created. Bad is the same as good, actually. Without bad can't be good. And we all are bad and good. Sometimes we have to be good, and sometimes the German went after Hitler, and they were all in this time bad. But between them are very good people, and we all are good and bad.
Anita Lasker said that she finds that the people who have been in the camps are generally more forgiving, more tolerant than the people who weren't, who feel guilty.
Absolutely. And I said through the music gave us a good. Through music we came to this good.
And it didn't worry you that the music was German?
Absolutely not. For me, Wagner, one of the greatest geniuses ever lived, and
does Wagner's anti-Semitism worry you?
I believe he was not actually a knowledgeable man. When you read this thing, you see, he's very limited, actually. In this capital, in this chapter about Jews, and it is very limited. But his music and the text of him are sublime. Nietzsche the same. They are idealists. They have an idea. They go after this idea. I admire these people. You can't say he's an idealist, and the operas as well. The Heilige Gral, and it's something. It is something.
There are people, though, who feel that even though Wagner's ideas were very primitive, they nevertheless acquired a force much greater than they deserved, but because of 2 things. One is because Wagner, as a musician, was unquestionably a genius. In a certain sense,
not only as a musician, his poetry, he's a poetist. The words are sublime. So he had this hatred because he was jealous. He was jealous. We are all jealous. Not only German people. We are all jealous. You see? By chance, Hitler was jealous. But we are all jealous. Nobody is an angel in this world. So, I consider Hitler as a madman. Mad. He was mentally mad. You see? And his hatred was ein Irrsinn. Ein Irrsinniger. Wagner war kein Irrsinniger, aber Hitler war ein Irrsinniger. Der gehört in ein Irrenhaus. Für mich ist eigentlich unverständlich, wie so viele, eigentlich 3/4 der Intelligenz, der deutschen Intelligenz, ist mit ihm gegangen. Das verstehe ich weniger als ihn selber. Er war ein Verrückter. Aber die mit ihm gegangen sind, das nicht zu verstehen. Das Volk von Goethe nicht zu verstehen. Aber es war natürlich nach dem Versailler Frieden, nicht wahr? Sie waren hungrig, es war eine schrecklich schwere Zeit. Sie hatten sehr schwer, Deutschland ist durch eine schwere Zeit gegangen. Und der Hitler hat ihnen versprochen, er wird sie erlösen, es wird das Paradies kommen. No, und da sind sie halt, und aus Angst, dass man nicht, wenn man nicht in die Partei gegangen ist, ist man ja gefährdet. Und, also auch das verstehe ich. It is good not to forget, of course, but it was always the same. I believe after the Inquisition it was, now nobody speaks about the Inquisition. And there were terrible times in history, from the Bible on. Terrible time. You forget and you have, it goes up and down and up and down and up and down. In the whole, people don't learn. They don't learn.
So if people don't learn, and if history is full of disasters, what is your answer to, or how did you manage to keep a good spirit until you're 98 years old? How did you do that?
Yeah, I'm an optimist, and I try to make a difference between important and not important. When something is not important, so not to bother, only when it is important. And this is very, very important in the whole life. But in the whole world, let us say, it was always bad and good and bad and good and bad and good. When it has to be very bad and then it starts to be better. Without this bad, it will not be better. It has to be very bad and then it will be better. And now I am as well. In another 50 years maybe, it will be better. I'm sure. Sure. They are written about a lot of books.
When I asked you that same question last week, you said that you try to fill your life with beauty.
Yeah.
As a method of
absolutely
making the best of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Then life is beautiful. Nature is something extraordinarily beautiful. We are full of nature. We are Spinoza. We are nature actually. So life is extremely beautiful. Love is beautiful. And the center of human being is the love from the mother to the child. This is the basis of all. This is wonderful, extraordinary. But I went through a very interesting thing in my house. This was before deportation, were 3 or 4 Nazi families, and once I was practicing a lot in this time. After my mother left, I was in a very bad state, and I had to play. I couldn't. So I played for hours, and suddenly I heard a knocking on the floor, and I said, "Oh, the Nazis! It is. I disturb him. I will not play it now." So I stopped playing, and the woman who took care of our house came once and said, "Mrs. Sommer, Mr. Hermann, the name of this Nazi, asked me whether you are already deported. You stopped playing. He loves your playing," she told me. So immediately I was sitting down and played. But then when we were one evening, the last evening, sitting, already everything were packed, and the door was open, and the Nazi came and said to me, "Frau Sommer, ich sehe, Sie sind jetzt vor dem Wegschicken. Ich wünsche Ihnen das Beste, kommen Sie gesund zurück. Ich weiß nicht, was ich Ihnen sagen soll eigentlich. Er war schon älter, er war nicht ziemlich jung. Bleiben Sie gesund. Aber etwas kann ich Ihnen mit Sicherheit sagen. Ich bin Ihnen zu ungeheurem Dank verpflichtet. Ich höre stundenlang zu, wenn Sie üben. Mein Vater war ein Organist. Wir waren die ganze Familie sehr musikinteressiert. Und ich bewundere Sie und ich kann Ihnen nicht sagen, wie Sie uns auch in unserer Zeit jetzt geholfen haben durch Ihr Spiel. Hat er mir gesagt.
Do you still practice now?
Yeah, of course.
How much?
This is my food. 2.5 hours.
How old are you?
98.
Brava. How many concerts did you give in Theresienstadt?
Yeah, more than 100. It was when the people loved a concert, so they wrote on little papers, and when there were a lot of people who wanted a certain program, so I played the etude by Chopin maybe 20 times, and the Beethoven one evening Beethoven sonatas 25 times, and so they could choose actually people what they wanted and what they loved and so on.
Do you mean they chose it before? They sent a paper before, or they asked you when you were...
After. When they loved the program, they wanted to listen again and again and again.
And so you played more than 100 times?
Yeah. But not only myself, my colleagues as well. It was very well organized. It was called Freizeitgestaltung. Freizeit is a free time, and the organizing of this free time.
And who was responsible for that organization? Was it the Nazis or was it the Jewish Council?
No, it was maybe the Nazis, but a Jewish, very nice woman was sitting in a little room, and she made this schedule for everybody. On Monday in the morning, we went to a certain place, and there was written...
And always without heating?
No, of course. Not hot water didn't exist. But this was not the worst thing.
Tell us about Theresienstadt.
It is an old Garnison, eine alte Garnisonsstadt zur Zeit von Maria Theresia und dann ihrem Nachfolger Josef. Die Stadt, das Städtchen als solches konnte im Normalfall 9.000 bis 10.000 Einwohner haben. Und in der Hitlerzeit waren manchmal 150 bis 200.000. Also man kann sich vorstellen, wenn ich mich zurückerinnere, sehe ich nur schwarz, also die Straßen waren schwarz von Menschen, wo auch immer. Also es war schwer, einen Platz für die Füße zu finden. Es ist unvorstellbar, wirklich, in diesem kleinen Städtchen. Die Konzerte haben stattgefunden im Rathaussaal. Das kann man jetzt noch sehen. Das ist jetzt ein Museum. Ein sehr netter Saal, der ungefähr 120 Leute fasste. Und im Anfang war nur ein Upright-Pianino. Ich erinnere mich, wie ich einmal die großartige B-Dur-Sonate von Schubert gespielt habe. So habe ich mir gedacht, wenn der Hitler da sitzen würde, er würde bei diesen 2 Takten vielleicht weniger hassen. Bei diesen 2 Takten, die so grandios sind. Ich erinnere mich, im Winter haben wir in den Wintermänteln mit den Hüten am Kopf und hohen Stiefeln. Das war eiskalt, aber wir haben doch gespielt. Wie wir das gemacht haben, das weiß ich. Jedenfalls, wir haben doch gespielt und die Leute waren in diesem eiskalten Raum gesessen. Es war eigentlich wie eine Kirche oder ein Tempel oder eine Moschee. Unbeschreiblich. Und dadurch war der Aufenthalt natürlich viel schwerer. Eine Mutter mit einem kleinen Kind, das ununterbrochen fragt, im 6. Lebensjahr fragen die Kinder schon, warum sind wir da? Was sind Juden? Warum haben wir nichts zu essen? Über alle anderen fürchterlichen Sachen will ich nicht reden. Jedenfalls, das war eigentlich das Schwerste, immer die richtige Antwort zu finden. Ich hab manchmal nicht gewusst, mein Mann auch nicht, was wir diesem Kind antworten sollen. In Theresienstadt hat man ihn sofort aufgefordert, mitzusingen bei der Kinderoper Brunjibar. Der Komponist, ein sehr guter Freund von mir. Das ist eine Oper von Kindern aufgeführt für Kinder. Eine wunderbare, ganz entzückende Musik. Der Komponist hat selbst am Klavier den Orchesterpart gespielt und hat dirigiert. Sie wurde mindestens 50 Mal aufgeführt. Ich erinnere mich, wenn wir nach Hause kamen, hat mein Junge einen Kochlöffel genommen, hat sich auf das obere Bett gestellt und hat dirigiert. Diese Oper, diese Musik von der Oper. Und wir haben alle mitgesungen. Es war wirklich, es war etwas ganz besonders Entzückendes. Wir haben gelacht. In diesem schrecklichen Ghetto haben wir gelacht. Jedenfalls, es war für eine Mutter mit einem Kind ganz besonders schwer. Wenn ein Kind Hunger hat und die Mutter hat nichts ihm zu geben, damit er den Hunger stillt, ist es eine ganz fürchterliche Situation. Ich habe nie und wollte auch nie über die Fürchterlichkeiten reden, die man miterlebt hat dort. Das wollte ich nicht. Ich will es auch weiter nicht. Ich will nur sagen, wenn ich sage, wir haben nicht gegessen, so muss man mir das glauben. Früh war ein schwarzes Wasser, das war Kaffee, Mittag ein weißes Wasser, das war Suppe und Abend wieder das schwarze Wasser. Wir waren also Haut und Knochen. Die Frauen haben die Menstruation selbstverständlich verloren. Aber, es sind ja Tausende gestorben natürlich an Typhus und wir waren eigentlich gesund. Diese Musiker, die waren vielleicht 20 Leute, ausgezeichnete Musiker, erstklassige Composer sowie Performers. Wir waren eigentlich gesund. Und das ist natürlich die Folge von, weil wenn man gewusst hat, man spielt abends, so war man glücklich. Man war glücklich. Theresienstadt war der Beweis des Zaubers der Musik. Ich kann es nicht anders bezeichnen. Es ist etwas ganz Eigenartiges, wie Musik auf die Seele des Menschen wirkt. Es ist das Schönste, was das Menschenleben bringen kann. And I must say, till my last days, I am 98 years old, it helped me and it made my life beautiful. Beautiful. Even in the very, very difficult times, it made me really happy. I am a survivor of Theresienstadt, but you can't compare the survivors of Auschwitz, for instance. This was undescribable. So these people went through the hell. Even the first year in Theresienstadt, we didn't know about Auschwitz. In the second year, we knew. And they wanted to make gas cameras in Theresienstadt as well. They started already, but it didn't finish. Und dann am 9. Oktober 1944 wurden einberufen 1000 Männer im besten Mannesalter von 20 bis, sagen wir, 35 und wurden weggeschickt. Darunter war mein Mann und der Mann meiner besten Freundin Edith Kraus. Mein Mann, also wir haben uns verabschiedet. Man hat damals noch nicht gewusst von Auschwitz. Das haben wir nicht gewusst. Jedenfalls, er hat sich von mir verabschiedet und hat mir das Ehrenwort abgenommen, dass ich nichts Freiwilliges machen darf. Was ich machen muss, selbstverständlich machen, aber nichts Freiwilliges. Wie er auf diese unerhörte Idee gekommen ist mir jetzt noch nicht klar. Er hat uns das Leben gerettet. Also das war am Montag und am Donnerstag kam der zweite Transport, auch 1000 Männer, unter dem Motto, Frauen und Kinder gehen den Vätern und den Gatten nach. Alle haben sich gemeldet, diese Frauen mit den Kindern. Nie haben sie die Männer gefunden natürlich und sind also nicht mehr zurückgekommen. Unerhört. Er hat uns das Leben gerettet, das ist also ganz klar.
You said that your sister was not as optimistic as you were.
No, we were twin sisters. She was very pessimistic. She didn't want a second, she had one child. In diese schreckliche Welt soll ich ein Kind hinein. It was before the war. And when she went through an operation and I was sitting there and waiting, she will come in her bed and she was under the anesthesia and I looked at her and when she opened the eyes, she said, die Welt ist schrecklich. And after several weeks, I told her, do you remember? You told this. I don't remember. In the subconscious was.
Do you think that's why she lived a shorter life than you?
I am sure. I am sure. the whole organism is in attention all the time. It's quite clear.
How is it that your twin sister was so different from you?
Yeah. This is very strange. Very strange. But we were very close. She knew when she said something, my answer, and I knew her. She was highly gifted and very intelligent and beautiful. She was very beautiful. Das war vorher noch. Da war mein Mann noch da. Da jedes Haus hatte einen Mann, der sich um das Haus gekümmert hat. Und der hat uns am Abend gesagt, ihr müsst früh um 4 oder wann war, sehr bald früh, euch melden. Es war Winter, kalt, regnerisch. Zieht euch warm an und nehmt das Brot mit und seid an der Stelle. Wir waren dort, wir sind stundenlang außerhalb des Ghettos gegangen und dann mussten wir stehen bleiben und das war ganz riesig weites Feld. Man hat eigentlich nichts gesehen als von weitem eine schwarze Gruppe, irgendwie etwas Schwarzes und da haben wir uns kombiniert, das sind unsere Männer. Das sind unsere Männer, die dort stehen. Nun und jetzt, die Kinder waren sehr nervös, es war kalt und Winter, es war so schrecklich kalt. Ich habe zum Glück ein kleines Stühlchen mitgehabt, da habe ich meinen Sohn auf eines Knie gesetzt und ein anderes Kind und ich habe mit ihnen ein bisschen gespielt, damit die Zeit besser vergeht. Es war sehr schwierig. Und jetzt auf einmal kommen 2 Nazis und sagen, aufstehen und die 10 in einer Reihe. Also alle haben sich aufgestellt und 10 in einer Reihe. Also jetzt habe ich mein Kind genommen und jetzt werden wir erschossen. Und das Merkwürdige haben mich schon 100.000 Menschen gefragt, wie ist es, wenn ein Mensch weiß, im nächsten Moment ist Schluss. Und ich muss darauf antworten, er fürchtet sich nicht. Es ist schwarz alles. Wie wenn ein schwarzer Vorhang fällt. Ich hatte mein Kind, was mit mir geschieht, wird mit ihm geschehen. Und man hat gewartet. Es war hat nicht ziemlich lang gedauert, denn jetzt kommt etwas, was ich auch nicht vergessen werde. Davon träume ich beinahe jede Nacht. Plötzlich schreien, richtig schreien, in Tschechisch, die Menschen schreien, zurück ins Ghetto. Also dieses Zurück ins Ghetto kann man nur vergleichen mit Hölle und Paradies. Das Ghetto, das eine Hölle ist, wurde jetzt in dem Moment ein Paradies. Der Tod und das Leben sozusagen. Also man geht in dieses Paradies jetzt zurück. Das ist eine Szene, wo die Sprache nicht weiter kann eigentlich. In my life is actually 3 things. First of all, the love of the mother to the child. This is a basis of human being. Nature and music. Nature and music. This is my religion. This is my religion. Gigi, the mother of an excellent son, outstanding, very gifted, and a wonderful character, and a real aristocrat, I must say, in his soul. And for this I'm proud and thankful. Um das zu beschließen, sage ich nur, wenn wir gespielt haben, war es wie ein Gottesdienst oder so etwas. Da war man nahe dem Göttlichen, wenn wir spielen durften, und ebenso die Zuhörer. When you ask me what I learned in my long life, so I can answer you. First of all, I am grateful to my mother that she was interested in we are 5 children, to learn, to know, this is a basis. And then to be thankful. For instance, as a survivor, as I am with my son, thankful for everything, for being not hungry, being in a good health, of course, seeing the sun, seeing a smile a nice word of somebody, Everything is at present. Everything. This I learned, to be thankful for everything.